we just thank you for this opportunity to be able to gather together tonight and just discuss the comings and goings of this great city that we live in. We just pray that this meeting is met with your spirit here in the room so that we can do the business that we need to do tonight. Thank you so much for all that you do and all that you give us. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Terry Lamar.
Here.
Troy Shropshire.
Here.
Lori Bradshaw.
Here.
Kenneth Rashears.
Here.
Tyler Brown.
Here.
Charles Crandall.
Here.
Chris Gontier.
Here.
Bruce Smith.
Here. Thank you. We have one petition from the audience. It's Cody Buff, the Program Director for Fostering Mays County. Cody?
Hello. My name is Cody Buff. I serve as the Program Director for Fostering Mays County, a local nonprofit. We assist the foster homes here in Mays County. Right now we're facing a crisis with our foster homes, and our kids are, the intake is up, but the homes are down. So we are needing to do a recruitment event to bring families together. So we want to create an event that is two ways. The event to bring everyone in town together just for a fun day, create lasting memories with the families, bio families, your families, that kind of thing. Just have fun. Inflatables, a cornhole tournament. The cornhole tournament, this will be designed where it's one adult, one child. So no two dads going to come in there and run over the kids on the tournament. It's going to be a fun day. We're going to level all the playing fields out on everything. But we are, at this event, we will be recruiting some community members to become foster homes. And to put this event on, we are on the back of that flyer. This is just an example flyer that we've just started working on. It doesn't have all the information on there, like the website address and that kind of stuff, or more information. But we're going to seek sponsorships to help us accomplish this, and it is also a fundraiser for our organization. But our goal is just to create fun events in the community at no cost to our community. So we're seeking today permission to use the Whitaker Park to host this event. Basketball courts is our goal for the cornhole tournament. Inflatables out on the green space between the pond to the bathrooms. And then food trucks, snow cone stand, some other items, craft fair type. Mom and pop could rent a booth, that type of thing, sell some items that weekend. And Saturday, September 28th is the day we're shooting for.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Buff? I don't think it'll be, personally, I don't have an issue with it. We'll have to put it on for a vote.
Okay.
I think everybody out here will agree that it's fostering Mays County has been a big deal over the last couple of years here.
Yes. We were established, we are established in 2019 by a local board of directors that were most of them were all foster parents as well. So if you have any questions, you guys got my email address and my cell phone numbers on there as well.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Item 3, consent agenda. Are there any items that we need for?
Letter H.
S.
S?
Yes. S. Sam, B. Vic,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Item H, approve an expenditure in the amount of $26,800 to Coker for accounting services through June 2025 to be paid from general outside services accounting account 02-201-5073.
Mr. Mayor, can we move and adjust this one to later in the meeting after we discuss item 5 on the addendum? Or move item 5 on the addendum up to now before we get into this?
No, is there a reason you want to move that to the end?
Well, I'm not saying move it to the end of the meeting, I'm just saying adjust it to where that item is after we talk to the item on number 5. It didn't have to be at the end of the meeting.
We could probably move that to the end of the consent time, but
Does Mr. Smith have an objection to that? Since you wanted that on,
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him before we address H.
so let's get through the consent and then we'll go to that item on the agenda. You're okay with that? Okay. Then I guess we'll move on to item L and come back to H. Approve an expenditure in the amount of $25.85 for Cassell contract support and maintenance for July 2024 from clerk capital outlay 4444554417.
Motion.
Have a motion from
Second.
Charles, second from Gantier. Discussion?
Yeah, I asked this before, I don't have a problem with the amount, the expenditure, whatever, but I do want to know, I remember, it's been a while, that we actually approved getting additional licenses from
We did.
Cassell. Do we have all those licenses and are they operating?
Yeah, we've got everything that we bought last fiscal year already, and this is just our monthly payment that we're gonna have for them. And I have a blanket that has been passed around somewhere for you guys to do this, so that we don't have to bring this to the agenda every single time, but it's the same thing for every month. But yeah, we got it.
So everybody in the city hall, or your office and the mayor, you good?
I do now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, everybody's got it. And we have one extra license for when we get the cemetery management up, so that the cemetery can have their access there as well.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, further? If none, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Okay. Item S, approve mayor's reappointment of Ron Reeser, Chris Graves, Keith Shelby to the park board, terms expiring 7/31/27.
Motion.
Motion from Choya, the second from Brashear. Discussion?
Mayor, I have a question. Am I understanding that the park board hadn't met in the last 2 or 3 months? Is that correct?
They've met. I think
They
they had
have
one
meeting
meeting they
tomorrow, too.
canceled.
Special call this week.
Yeah, specific, we had to call a special this week for this, but, yeah.
Well, I'm just curious if they've been too busy to have a meeting, or they didn't have any information to have a meeting, or what was the reason?
I think one of them we had a quorum issue and the other was that we just didn't have anything for the meeting sufficient, so.
I'll be right back. Continue discussing, but nothing else, because I don't have a video to go back and look at the records of.
So we can talk about it now?
No. So,
Well, my curiosity was, are these 3,
reappointments.
are they too busy to have this meeting, or they didn't have enough information to have a meeting? That's my question.
No, we didn't have enough on that last one to have, then we canceled to have the meeting. So there was nothing sufficient to bring up, so that was canceled.
Okay, there's no problem with the park board meeting or anything? Okay.
No, their terms just all came to an end. And so we called them and see if they wanted to be reappointed, continue their terms, or yield to somebody else. They all wanted to continue. So, all right.
That's all I have.
All right. I would say call for vote, but
I'm coming. IT's trying to fix it.
we
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
All right, item V, approve transferring a 2014 Ford F-150, VIN number ending in 3499, from the Parks Department to the Facilities Department.
I have a
Motion.
question. What's
So
the
moved.
Hang on, Bruce. Try that again.
So moved.
All right.
Wait a minute.
We got a motion from Choi and a second from Brashear.
Yeah.
Okay,
That'll work.
discussion. Bruce, you have the floor.
I was curious what the facilities department is.
That's the new facilities department that we've talked about moving Gary Buffington, that's his maintenance truck, from the parks to creating facilities. That's also Gary and our janitors, Maggie and Cindy, so that their finances and their funds and payroll can all be more directly accounted for rather than coming out of the parks department. So our janitors, I don't remember when, not too long ago, when they were brought on board, they were put into Frank's budget.
I think they originally were in the mayor's budget, and then they were moved to.
Right, correct.
I was curious what it was. I don't
And
remember.
so, rather than moving them back into the mayor or keeping them in the parks, which isn't really fair to Frank, we decided to create facilities. The hope is that someday that'll also be, if we can develop it up over time, grounds, facilities, things like that. So
Okay.
that's what that is.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
I am not opposed to this at all, and I am all in favor of facilities department. You know, I've talked about that many, many times. But do we have to formally approve that department at some point within the city, the council, or is that
From
something?
everything I've seen, no, the only approval you would do would be the budget stuff, but just like everything else.
Yep. And again, this is a truck that's been in the parks department. Gary's been driving it. We'll move it on over to follow Gary so he continues maintenance. Any further questions on that? Do you have anything, Jason? All right, call for the vote.
Brashears,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Good. Let's jump over to the addendum. We'll just go down through that real quick and then we'll come back and hit letter H.
Our live stream is working again.
Awesome. All right. Addendum item number 1, possible discussion and action regarding the collective bargaining agreement updates between the city of Pryor Creek and the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 116 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
Motion.
Motion from Troy,
Second.
second from Bradshaw. Discussion.
We have one issue. We have noticed that there has been a section 8.2 added that during our part of the discussion, we weren't involved with that. We don't remember seeing that. It wasn't in the old agreement, but we have, the only thing that we had in 8 on the old, let me get the old one out.
So, yeah, actually, we had talked about 8.2.
While Lori and I were in there,
Yep.
we don't remember it.
They have no recollection of that discussion whatsoever.
We don't remember. The only 8 that we had was administrative rights.
Well, and it was also included in the stuff that we had provided and talked about. This section 8.2 states the lodge and the city agree that the public safety is of utmost, I'm just gonna read it, utmost importance in the performance and duties of Pryor Creek Police Department. It's also recognized that the effectiveness of operations is dependent upon the number of police officers committed to the mitigation of the community emergencies within the scope of the Pryor Creek Police Department's strategic plan. Therefore, to ensure safety and effectiveness, the city of Pryor shall endeavor to ensure public safety by maintaining a minimum staffing level within the Pryor Creek Police Department. Minimum staffing levels are as follows: 22 uniformed officers, 1 code enforcement, which is currently what we have, 4 assigned detectives, currently what we have, 5 SROs, which is school resource officers, which we agreed to, we are short 1, and 1 captain, which we currently have To ensure the safety of Pryor Public Schools, the city of Pryor shall work in conjunction with Pryor Public Schools to achieve adequate staffing levels. City and the lodge understood that Article 13 shall cover layoffs and callbacks. The chief of police shall be responsible for assignments within the Pryor Police Department. The lodge agrees. Chief of police may adjust assignments within the police department. So, gentlemen.
Can we speak before they speak?
Well, I don't care who speaks first.
No.
If you have to, go ahead, yeah.
Well, this is a relatively complex and important document that we got yesterday.
Correct.
Have not had time to adequately digest it or study it. And now we're gonna presumably vote on something that I feel is highly inappropriate for something this important to come and.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you, Chris, because I want to be very clear. The process is that this goes through the negotiations and it comes to council. I've heard several council members say, why didn't we get this before tonight? That's the process. That's how it's, Joya, is that not how it's been?
I don't have a problem with the discussion,
So to
it's
say
to
that
make
it's highly inappropriate is not,
to make a decision on something that's a lengthy document that's binding the city. It's very important that we understand this, and I think it's inappropriate to just get these items where we haven't even had a chance to really properly study it.
your opinion is noted. I appreciate that.
When were negotiations done on this?
When did we wrap everything up?
Thursday.
Thursday?
So why wasn't it included Friday? Why did it come Monday?
Well, there's still a lot of language stuff we had to do.
So keep in mind, even after we agree, they have to take it back to their group. Their group gives their yays to our side, and then I bring it to you guys for your yays, just like they took it to their group. And so this is the presenting it to you. So again, when we say that it's highly inappropriate, if you would like to have the process done differently, then the council needs to vote on how that's gonna change bargaining agreements, but this is how it's done. Just like these gentlemen took it to their group, I'm presenting it to you, and that's where this is done. You know,
Mayor, can we have time to look at it before we vote on it tonight?
well, I think that would be the more appropriate approach, rather than calling it inappropriate and what else, but, you know, we wrapped it up, and after they wrap up their part, we wrap up ours. It goes to Lisa, and Lisa inputs all the changes. And so Lisa did it as fast as she could Friday to get that done, so that we could have it ready for this meeting. So,
I'll change my motion into table until,
I have some questions, I have
Yeah, I'd
some
like
things
to
to
talk
discuss
about
that
it tonight.
I can't give you our.
do what?
yeah, we can have some discussion,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
change our.
But you don't have to vote on it tonight.
We can decide that when we're through the discussion,
Okay, all right.
so.
Everybody work 12-hour shifts?
No.
So that's one of my issues with the contract. People that work 40-hour work week, I think the contract should actually reflect that.
We
Same
all,
thing with holidays.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We all work 168, we all work 84 hours, just differently. My detectives, I have 2 that are on 10-hour shifts, 2 of us are on 8. We're required to work 84 hours every 2 weeks, just like everybody else. We just do it differently. So we do work the same amount of hours, we just do it in a different way. So we're required, us that are on 8s, we'll work 84 hours, we'll find a way to get that done. My detectives that are on 10s, they also work 84 hours, so we all work 168 hours. We just do it differently, so we figured that that was easier to do it that way than to have to adjust holidays and different things for different people. We all just work the same hours every 2 weeks, and it's just easier to navigate that way.
Could you explain your holidays, how that works? Or,
How we've proposed?
well, yeah, so how, like, you may not take the actual holiday.
Right, so under the old way, 1 holiday equals 1 shift. That's obviously different for our SROs versus our detectives versus our patrol. So we have suggested that we break down holidays at an hourly distribution and usage, which means it's distributed at 168 hours a year. That equals the holidays that we have on the books. And rather than 1 holiday equals 1 shift, we use it as an hourly rate which would equal out to the same amount of time off, give or take.
And it makes it not a payroll nightmare.
Yes.
We were very excited for that.
A lot of discussion and work making that happen.
I have a problem, Mayor, of the FOP telling the city how many people they're gonna have and where they're gonna be. That should be whatever we can afford to do, and the chief decides who goes where.
I think
And I worked with that. And that was Charles Trim actually brought that up, as far as like minimum staffing levels, so that's where that came from, was discussion we had in the meetings. Like I said, this is just a discussion. You know, that, I don't know if you remember that discussion that we had about each department, because there never have been set in stone this many employees at each, you know, department. So that's kind of where that came from, is to kind of work on that. So it's clear, you know, when are you below, you know, that level where it's critical, you know, so that kind of helped clear some things up, because right now, how many officers does the department have? How many does, you know, street department have, or the rec center, things like that. So that's kind of where that was coming from on the staffing levels.
So is this legally binding on us, to the city council, that we have to keep that staffing level? What's throwing up some of us, I think, is the word shall endeavor to ensure.
I think that's part of the contract.
Now, there's probably a clause in there. I haven't read it all. Usually there's a clause as far as financially stable enough to do things.
I didn't
That's
see
the
that.
part we don't
Article
see.
25.
Where's that at?
If force, reductions in force occur, you guys probably know it better than me.
Yeah.
It talks somewhat.
Well, and there is in the FOP agreement, at least in the past ones, there is a whole section on layoff order and everything.
However,
There still is.
what
Yeah.
my understanding, what this would not prohibit, would not allow us to put a hiring freeze in effect. We would have to hire. Would that be your
That's
decision?
how I was interpreting that.
And the FOP recognizes that, and we very much want to get to minimum staffing level, and we respect what the work that you're doing, and we also understand the state of the city. And please understand that should this be passed, we will not stomp our foot on the ground and say tomorrow we want to hire. We're 5 down as it sits to get to minimum staffing.
That's
We-
a logistical nightmare,
Right.
hiring that many people.
We will-
We can't accept that many people being hired as it is. I mean,
We will go at a speed that is comfortable to the city and as the budget allows. And then once we are able to maintain the manpower that meets the requirements of our minimum staffing, we would like,
How's
we-
minimum staffing described? What are you using for the yardstick on minimum
Describe it,
staffing?
determine.
Huh?
You mean determine?
How do you determine?
How'd you come to this?
these are the budgeted positions that we have.
and these numbers are no different than last year. I mean, these are we didn't
Nothing
add
says,
anyone.
other than what we've got, that you've gotta have this many people. You could have 10 less.
No, we cannot.
Why couldn't you?
Because here's the thing.
Now, remember who you're talking to.
We can have 10 less, okay, and then whenever a shift has to be filled, you get to pay somebody like me to come in and fill it at time and a half. That's $40 an hour.
If we don't have the money, that's what I'm looking
If you don't have the money, then you're paying somebody $40 an hour to come fill a shift instead of paying a new hire $20 an hour.
Maybe the detective will have to go out and work the road.
So you're paying him $40 an hour.
So with
It doesn't
that,
matter.
Wait,
because he has to
this,
be-
don't be bullying me and you both know better.
the detectives are covering the school actually this school year for that.
Let us look at this and digest it, come up with some questions and talk about it, we'll talk
Yeah.
about it again.
Absolutely.
I
Because
want
I personally will not go for you telling us how many people you're gonna have. I ain't gonna have.
That came from the council.
Well,
This council didn't do it.
with all due
Several
respect,
on the council did.
I think the taxpayers, tax money that they spend demands an amount of police protection that the city is not gonna offer unless we have the spots that, all we want is what was normally budgeted for. We're not asking for any more, we will maintain with this. Anything below this is critical. We owe it to our officers for officer safety, we owe it to our taxpayers to
I
give police
realize
protection.
officer safety. I was one, remember? I worked. by
And we respect you
myself.
for
It's
that.
a different
I'm
ballgame,
here,
Bruce.
so I know what
Bruce,
officer
it's
safety.
different. Him, I worked here too. It's different than the
did
city
too.
Pryor. And I work city Pryor.
And
It's
if you
different.
can have a helper, that's fine.
It's not apples to apples.
Bruce,
But what
yes,
you all-
this, in two,
What you gotta
Thursday,
realize,
we went to
we're
have a
roughly
standoff, and we had
$600,000
one
down.
full-time guy there. We had one full-time guy there. We are we're losing 2 in 4 weeks, and we have 2 more that are in the process of getting hired by 2 different agencies. We are in a hurting.
And
I
then
get
and then
it, back in the
Texas-
day, you
You're
worked for
gonna be,
Jerry
I'm afraid you're gonna be the bigger one because we're 600,000 at least.
Well,
down.
I'm afraid one of our guys are gonna get hurt. And that's what you guys should be afraid of. I'm afraid that we're not gonna be able to serve the citizens.
Can you afford the
Safety is
lawsuit
the
it's
most
gonna generate?
important part of it.
Can I ask a couple questions?
In Article 13 about the reduction of.
Let me get the easy one out of the way first, not to detract from where y'all are going. I just want to get the easy one out of the way. We'll get back to it. And this is, I don't know if I can get there.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, here we go. When it says at the end of Article 38, the city has agreed to contribute $10,000 to the lodge to furnish cover for the defense costs arising from criminal actions or criminal proceedings only. Is that the case where a police officer gets brought up on charges and we're gonna help pay for their defense, or what is that?
So,
No, I just had a curiosity out of that.
so we're part of the FOP legal plan. That's part of being a lodge.
Yeah.
Locust Grove, they pay us $1,200 for 4 officers. Slide does the same thing. Our guys have paid for their legal protection out of their own pockets for all these years. This is just for criminal proceedings. If one of us goes and gets into a shooting, we have that protection,
Yeah.
but we've been paying for it ourselves. And basically, we just want the fairness there. I mean,
Right.
and on top of that, I mean, if we wanted to, Chase is a good attorney. We could pick Chase by our current contract, and it'll cost you guys tremendously more than that.
No, I was just curious. I thought that was the case. I was just wanting to clarify that.
How much extra will that have to be, because of that clause, how much extra will that be in the budget?
Nothing.
10,000.
Yeah, 10,000.
$10,000.
You get a $10,000 retainer fee for the police department to be in whatever kind of legal issues they may come across while on duty. It's covered.
Is that
However,
per issue or?
I understand why the city wants, for complete understanding for everybody though, if you're charged with a crime, it's not on the city. We represent him in civil actions, not criminal actions.
That's correct.
No, I completely agree with that.
This is a bonus to the police department to do,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, absolutely, yeah.
not,
Right.
Where-
Yeah, no, it's not an
Where
obligation.
these typically come into play is when, let's say there is an officer-involved shooting, they will sue both the city and the officer individually. OMAG will usually step in and cover the city and the officer in his official capacity, but not necessarily his individual capacity. This is typically used for that. Is that,
Yeah,
you understand?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what this fund is typically used
Okay.
for.
okay.
And then the second part, this goes back to 8.2. So, I agree and understand staffing. I was in the Army for 6 years and understaffed units in Afghanistan. It sucks. And the only difference between there and here is you don't expect the issues at a police stop. You know, you work however many 12-hour days in a week and you get run down, you don't have the staffing. I totally understand that. The only issue that I have is two. One is, would this potentially, if somebody wanted to press really hard, bring us up on legal charges, if somebody wanted to sue us, if they didn't believe that we were trying to hire? And number two, and I'm learning a lot more about the budget, about how everything is working. I'm still a little bit green on it. But the one thing I don't want to do is, in any department, hire someone on, they rearrange their life, their livelihood, their families, everything, and then turn around next year, sorry, you gotta go. So those are my only two concerns. I'm not against necessarily backfilling for critical positions. Fire department, police department are critical positions. We have to have that here. Or, you might get the case where someone takes things into their own hands, and that presents a whole nother set of problems. So, those are my only two issues. My concerns, I should say, is what kind of power does somebody get to sue the city? And then what if we try to hit this and it just goes south on us?
I can answer number one for you. So nobody can get sued, I shouldn't say, wrong words. Most likely, nobody can get sued out of this. What'll happen is what's happened twice last year. A grievance will get filed to the chief responds to the lodge then can bring it to council. So last year, we got one that went all the way to arbitration through the process. We also had one, I believe the lodge, you guys did one to the chief on employment numbers. Came to council voted no on that. So that one died there, the other one.
And it happened there my time.
I don't remember
my,
It was just a letter, but it was no grievance. No, it wasn't a formal grievance.
my
That's
point
the
on
process,
this,
though,
go
is
ahead.
it goes through the grievance process within that.
My point on this whole discussion is not against y'all having people, that's not it.
Of course.
You're looking at your department, but we gotta look at the whole city, and I'm afraid we're gonna be short money. And if that's the case, there's some of these things we can't possibly do. And money's what Chief and I have argued about ever since he's been in office. And I've been trying to save money, I haven't asked you for it.
You
But that's
guys,
something we gotta realize, we're not gonna have the money to do this.
And at a certain point, you know, Charles, and this is just for debate, you know, Charles had talked, and we talked about, when does that level fall below critical? Well, right now, there's no number, like, there's no staffing levels, there's no number off what we have, you know, or what was budgeted, and that's what they were going off of. So at what point is it 2 people down where you start becoming critical, or is it 4 people down? You know, we're about to be 4 down. So at what level is that critical? You know, is cemetery, I use them for example because they're down 1. Is there 1 person down? Is that when it's critical there? Or, I mean, how does that play? And the numbers were brought into that, you know, game. Because right now, there is none. There's no numbers anywhere. So we're just trying to clean things up a little bit, you know, and that's what it's up for
Are we
debate.
creating a crisis when we do that? By you saying something's critical, if there's nothing critical,
Then it falls back to the chief to decide, which I'm fine with, you know.
I think it falls back to the contract to decide if it goes.
I'm saying if that's not agreed upon, then it falls back to me.
you guys actually,
Let me clarify, since my name's been brought up a couple of times. Yes, I asked you for minimum staffing levels, and you gave me those numbers. I've got them written down somewhere.
Correct, there's the numbers.
I asked all the departments that at one point. I think I even talked to you about whenever I said minimum staffing level, I meant at what point can you not perform? And this was way back at the beginning of
It's
the
a long
whole
time ago.
and I get it, and I appreciate it, and that's this. But my intent was never to codify in a document those minimum staffing levels that would tie this council's hands in ability to manage the budget, which is what we are charged with at the end of the day.
it may come to a point where we're gonna have to ask all the departments to say, you need to cut 10% of your budget.
We've already done 4 people, so
But, you know,
that's easy for us.
I will say this, and I've said this publicly before. I will set up here and vote to cut every department to the bone before I start cutting police and fire to the point that they are in serious critical danger, for lack of a better word.
Correct.
And I think, and you and I have talked about this, I think we're reaching that point with the police. I don't know what else to do, that we have cut, we're not hiring, and we're still losing money. And I don't wanna turn this into a conversation on the budget, but this is a huge concern for me, that
It is a budget.
it goes beyond the budget though. It's, to me, this is more about tying our hands when we might need to drop below whatever that total amount is. I don't know.
Uniform.
I don't know. So that's my concern. But my intent with asking for minimum staffing levels was more for a management perspective for the council, not necessarily putting it in here where if we don't hire, they theoretically could sue us for violating this contract.
We never spoke to chief about these levels.
Yeah, I don't see
We never
any
spoke
way
to chief
that
about
could
these
fit in
levels
there.
prior.
This is our own recognition.
We had no
that
idea you
we're
guys had that
short.
conversation.
I mean,
They didn't. I stayed out of that.
No,
That's what
I
you
get that. No, I get that. I'm not saying that he gave you this. I'm not saying that in any way. And he and I, we did not break it out to this level. Courtney and I did not break out city clerk's numbers to this level. He and I just talked very general numbers. And I think it was in the 28, 29, 30 range, Jeremy, that you gave me. That I'm doing that for.
I've had to look at Lisa's bills because we went on her.
Yeah, but you and I were sitting in your office when we had this conversation at one point. So, but anyway, that's my 2 cents. We
At
do
least-
need to go back and talk about this.
Give us time to look at this and see where we're at. Give us time to see where our budget's at.
But I do want you guys to think, when is that critical level? Because I agree that we're coming up on that. So is that hiring 1 person, 2 people? I mean, we're at what point do you hire before somebody, you know, gets below that critical point? We are down in SRO. Detectives are gonna start filling SRO spots. Overtime spots are coming out for SRO. I've had to fill overtime spots on the street.
because we don't have the people.
But if we put a maximum amount of money on your overtime, what are you gonna do?
You can, I mean, and that came from, you gotta cover the street, like you have to cover. There is a service that we are required to provide for the city, and I can't not provide that service.
That's why I keep trying to explain to the council, this isn't the first time I've been here explaining this, and I've met with, Mr. Trammell a while back when we discussed this. At some point, it's costing the city more money to have less officers, because you're paying time and a half to older officers that have a higher pay rate than you would if you just had a base pay employee working his normal
I
shift.
agree with that,
Coming
but
from
we're
an
not,
agency that pays much
but we're
overtime,
also not
overtime's
paying,
always more expensive.
but we're not paying
In
extra
time, it will be.
benefits.
And
But
then you get
I
burnout.
wanna say this, and I
You
think,
got everything that come along with that.
I think everybody up here, and probably, unless you're a criminal, everybody in the city would agree. I don't begrudge or want to withhold this at all. I mean, it's purely, we haven't seen the budget, we don't know where our money is, and to be bound to something that we may not have the ability financially to do is the problem. I know I've been labeled anti-police, and I'm not. I don't want to crash our finances to where we have to start laying a bunch of police off. And it could happen if we go below a certain amount in our budget and our ability to pay. So and I know some will disagree with this, but I'm probably about as pro-police as you'll see, period.
Well, I might argue with you on that.
But the thing that I have to say is, financially, we have to make sure we can follow through on what is requested here. And we still have a lot of things that have not been addressed, have not been figured out. We don't know where we are financially yet, the budget's not out, and we don't know what we actually can do. And I think to approve this, discussing it's great. I mean, I'm all for discussing it. But approving it, it's very premature because we don't know if we can actually do.
Well, I don't have 5 people here hiring, I ain't got anybody up here hiring, you know.
And just to be clear, these are the positions that are already budgeted. This is not adding any positions that aren't budgeted already.
But understand, budget is how you're gonna spend money you don't have. So if
We
we don't
didn't get-
have the
yeah, we
money, you
didn't get
can
the
have a
amount.
$20 million budget, but if we don't have anything to
We
fund it with,
were
that's a problem.
inherited that issue.
But the thing is, we didn't get the amount of funding, which we're gonna discuss shortly. A budget is a plan, and so long as the plan is fully funded, you can do it. From my understanding, our budget has not been fully funded, therefore, we have problems that's gonna come out somewhere. And we have to figure out where we can address these issues.
And I do want you, like I said, I get the discussion, and it's good to have discussion. You know, think about those numbers. We're down 5 positions, right now 4
How many do you have right now?
on the street. I have to look at the paper.
I mean,
If we can break out, we've got it broken out here.
17.
17 patrol
You're
officers,
fixing to lose 2, you're gonna
We've
lose
got
2 more.
17 patrol
We've already
officers.
lost
You
it.
still
Hang
got,
on,
There.
1 code enforcement, 4 detectives, 4 SROs, and 1 captain.
and you're down, you're about to lose 2 more patrol.
About to lose
No, that's with the 2.
About to lose 4 more.
So what's that final patrol number that's
So, because it was 22, I guess is what that said, so 17.
We'll be at
is
7,
where we're gonna
we'll be at 17.
And just as a reminder, regardless if you hired a kid out of high school or you hire a police officer coming up from, got as a police officer in Kansas, came here, wants to be a police, they all still have to go through the same wait period before they're out on their own.
Yeah, so if you hire an uncertified guy, he's gotta wait for the pension board about a month and a half. Goes to the pension board, then he's gotta go to CLEAT, which could take, it's a 16-week academy, but getting him into one could take a while. Then it's a 16-week, you're half a year out, at least 6 to 8 months. If you hire an uncertified, not trained guy. If you hire a certified guy, you still gotta go, you know, to the FTO program, which is 16 weeks.
Okay. And that's our policy? Is that it?
And I'm not gonna, I've kicked around varying that policy, but I don't sue. And if something were to happen, it's gonna come back to the chief of police, because I'm the one who said, well, he don't need to go to 16 weeks. He can go to 8 weeks of it because he's certified. And I'm not willing to do that. I've talked to several agencies and they said, you're stupid if you do that. You're opening yourself up for liability.
Right. So the fact is something has to be done.
We're gonna be running half the school year with
If
detectives.
you hire your full complement of officers and other people here, and the money is tight like it looks like it's going to, what can you cut out of your other part of your budget to make up the difference of your officers?
Salary's the biggest part of capital.
No, I'm talking about wraps for your cars, or maybe not everybody driving a car, maybe you park some of your cars.
He's
How are
saying
you
if you
gonna
take all
save
your,
money?
if you take all your money to hire your full man, where else are you gonna cut stuff? Where
To
you're
be
actually
able to
fluff
stay
out
going.
to make up the,
There's not anywhere to cut a lot of fluff out. There's not fluff in the, I don't know if you've looked at the general 215. 215, don't have fluff.
Let's bring it back to
Okay.
the contract.
And my door's open. Y'all can come in there and talk anytime. We can discuss.
We're just trying to figure.
No, I get it. And I'm okay to talk and discuss.
This is the first we've seen this, so.
Well, like I said, that's the FOP stuff. That's
Mayor,
not me.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple of questions for formality here, and then I got some questions for you all to ponder on the council. Who is your spokesperson on the FOP?
We're all equal, but I'll do it.
The negotiation team, who's the head?
They roll in there.
All of y'all.
That would be,
And who is the head guy for, head person, excuse me, for the city negotiation team?
Mayor.
The mayor. Okay. They're up here really four strong right up here before us trying to sell their point to it. That's their point. We've got the city side to negotiate. So what's your all's official stand? Meaning, I guess the mayor is your spokesman, because your budget, your other negotiators here, they said they never even knew this was in here until tonight, which tells me that
We didn't see this 8.2.
it was never talked about.
So in the original.
Unless it had been between you and them.
So there were some that were, yes. That was in the original packet that was there.
If I may, we played you guys a presentation, we built you a presentation, showed you that we've been 3 to 4 officers short for 4 years.
You did say that,
We've done the budget crunches for you.
but this
you know,
written
short
down
term.
like this and being a part of that section 8.2, we've never seen that in this form.
It was worded exactly the same, we just put 8.2 on there.
Okay,
We
so
made
the
pie
other thing,
charts. We made pie charts.
Yeah, you did that.
we really,
But it wasn't written down that this is gonna be the minimum staffing. This is, you basically said this is what we need, we'd like to have this and everything. But there was not anything down that said it shall be.
This was copy and pasted off the PowerPoint. I built this whole thing. It was on the PowerPoint, so it was 4 or 5 other slides correcting this exact
You
wording,
wrote the-
why it was there.
You wrote the shall be in
Yeah.
the,
John Dever too.
do you
Oh.
remember seeing it?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember it, but
I don't
I would
either.
have to go back and look at that.
okay, so
original.
the other thing is that,
I don't think we talked about it.
this kind of talks about the budget. You guys said we don't even know what our financial situation is. That's very true. But this document right here is going to help drive the finishing of that budget. Because if we agree to do this, then they're going to automatically lock in the staffing and salaries and benefits for every one of these automatically. So this is going to drive that budget, help drive that budget.
And I understand.
And another thing for you to consider, overall, just think about this real carefully. If this is approved, this is gonna be more or less locked in forever. Once it's in there, it's not gonna come out of there unless hell freezes over. So you're gonna have to consider this for the future, councilman, mayor's administration, et cetera. This is gonna be there. Then another thing you're gonna have to take into consideration is if this gets in there like this, then that's also possibly could drive the other collective bargaining agency group that you have for them to want a minimum staffing level. So you gotta take that into consideration too. It may not happen this year, it may next year. So those are things you gotta really seriously consider. And then the other thing is that if this is done this way, it's already been bad contention with all the other city departments for years and years since there has been a negotiation, or a collective bargaining agreement with the police department, that they get everything they want and the rest of the city employees are left out.
That was the point that I wanted to say.
So just consider that
Can I comment
for the
on that?
future. Yes, sir.
Not one time in my almost 10 years of being here have we got a pay raise, a cost of living adjustment in the whole entire city, even at 8.5%. We do negotiate for the city on pay. That has never changed. And also, everything has a price and during negotiation, so it could be taken out.
I can actually speak to the contrary. 2 years ago, I think it was, it could have been 3, the whole city got a pay raise, and we did not. That was the birth of the $2,000 hazard pay that we got, which was still significantly less than what the rest of the city.
And I
So,
wasn't part of the city back then.
right, and that's just, I was, and that's why.
But I will also know historically, though, that pay raises for you all does kind of drive pay raises for the entire city. Because every mayor that I know of is giving you all a raise. They usually will give everybody else a raise just to appease them too. So that is a good thing that you are negotiating, but you're not negotiating for them, but you kind of are. But just take into consideration, this is going to be locked in forever for the future.
He said something about hazard pay, and I had a question about that. And like I said, I haven't had a chance to study it. Now, I don't mind getting with you, Justin, asking more questions.
Yeah.
But why was the hazard pay moved into salary? What was the
So-
strategy on that?
Us as a union went into contract negotiations with the mindset of retention and recruitment. That was our focus on being able to recruit good applicants and to retain officers for an amount of
That's
time.
highly important.
Right. We get $2,000 hazard pay across the board.
Right.
We also get $8,400 a year in specialty pay for our special certifications.
Okay.
To help with recruitment, we felt that it was extremely valuable if we were to take the hazard pay, the $2,000, wipe that out of the contract, take that money, take our specialty money, combine them, and roll that into base salary across the board, which, for the most part, nobody makes any more money, but it looks really good on paper, and it really benefits those that come in as new hires. We're struggling to compete with other agencies, and we always will. That's just the nature of the beast. But we took those, rolled that in, just removed hazard pay altogether. We want to keep specialties on the books because we've worked for those and we've earned them. So I think we asked for $25 a specialty, max of 4, just to keep those on the books because we utilize those to benefit the
But I also
department.
give you a caveat with that too.
Yeah, you add one, take one off. And that also,
Yeah.
if there's years where it's cheaper to increase those kind of things versus giving a percentage raise. So that's why they were able to climb up to $175 a person, is because 4% for, Captain Tremel is a whole lot different than 4% for our new guys. And so $25 across the board for specialties, that's something we negotiate for, depending on the year, on what we're trying to increase. It's cheaper that way because it's a flat rate instead of, and that's why they've gotten up to 20. They were $50 when I first started here.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I have to kind of plug that in and look at
Not
what.
everybody got max specialties.
Right.
So to say everybody got 8,400 is
Only
not
one
an accurate
person.
statement.
Only one person.
The majority do have all
Yeah,
specialties.
it actually, I looked
The majority
after
of our
we
time.
agreed on this, and it actually really surprised me.
It would be, a new hire with no specialties or nothing would really benefit from this.
Which is what we're trying to increase. We had 15 applicants this last round. I mean,
How about giving us a chance to see where our money's at, and then we can argue.
I'm honestly for you guys, so
You better be.
I'm seeing a lot of the city giving up lots of things, and so I'd like to hear what you guys have given up in your concessions.
it cost
I'm not
me
seeing a lot of that.
$20 to insure my wife and my kids and my family. 4 years ago, I had to give up my wife and on my insurance, and it was still almost, if I didn't, it was $300.
Right
check.
now- right now-
I can't afford to insure my wife
Right now,
at the
for a
moment.
family, it's $500, it's over $500 a month out of pocket for the officer. So officers are giving up insurance, they're giving up,
We could go to our own, we can go to
But what are
our,
you guys giving up in the contract?
well, I mean, as far as for trait and that,
For everything overall? The city, you want $10,000 for the lodge, you want minimum staffing, you want a $10,000, $400 a year raise for all employees, plus still $100 a month for specialties. What are you guys giving up as your concessions?
What'd you lose out of this?
I don't know that
Hey,
we're required to lose anything.
I
Are we?
don't go in there to
No, but
negotiate
in
to
good
lose.
faith, I don't know that we're required to give everything. if
In
you're
good
not
faith, we weren't asked to give anything
We
up.
also didn't get
Okay,
everything we
well
asked
then
for.
maybe that was.
there was a committee chosen by this council to negotiate this, and that committee met and negotiated this contract, and now it's before the council.
Maybe it wasn't negotiated in good faith that the city is giving and not getting anything in return.
Well, that's up to the negotiators and who negotiated it.
What are you looking for?
I think that committee was
I'm
chosen by the
looking
council.
for who is looking out for the city here?
The whole purpose in when we went into this negotiation off the bat was that there had to be some give and take. Did I not say that from the get-go? bringing in, so to say, cost of living expenses and things like that.
I think you guys have done a great job negotiating. I think we've done a terrible job negotiating.
Oh, yeah, you've done good.
I don't think that this is.
We asked for a
And
whole lot
I'm
more.
not agreeing you guys for asking for everything you can.
We asked for a whole lot more.
Right, and I don't think
Well,
this
they
is as
didn't
much
get
as
everything
what,
they asked for.
I don't think it's as much as what we're giving up as what the city is getting. I mean, the city is getting retention.
I fought
The city's
hard.
getting,
I've
I
heard
mean,
the same thing.
Mayor,
yeah.
everybody on their side of the house is putting input in, and that's great. I want to hear from our negotiating team what their comments are about this.
Sorry, I've tried a couple times.
Jump in
So,
there.
Just, I missed one thing. So you currently have 17 patrolmen and are gonna be down 2 more, or you, that
No,
you'll
that's
be,
where they're gonna.
that's where you'll be when you're down the 2.
That's where we'll be.
17.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on
Yep.
that, as I was getting my numbers down.
Now we're
Um,
17.
So I think, to be fair, they said that they're not asking for this right now. So is there a way somehow we can work together and negotiate together to make the language to where we're not saying, that's where I think the hangup with this piece is that we're like, oh my goodness, we're gonna have to get to 22 right now. We may not have the money to get to right to 22 right now, but we need to get to 20 or whatever, maybe.
Chase, if this is passed, the next day they can file a grievance if we don't have them hired.
The way it's written, I think so.
So I think that's the biggest.
Not
But
saying
you said,
would,
but
saying
even though
you
they're
would be
saying, I
contractually.
know, you're saying that you're gonna do that, but then that is kind of hard for us to be able to say, well,
There's other,
on this side, and I know what you, because I think none of us want you to be at a crew. I mean,
So
we want to give you what you need to be able to do what you have, but this is a little bit,
big pill to swallow.
it is, because we can't do it right away. I mean, I would be shocked if any of us thought we could do this like right now this year.
there's other language, and we understand that. That's
So
what-
maybe
that's
there's
what I'm
other,
saying.
I'm just thinking maybe there's some other language. we
There
can
is other
put into
language in the
this.
contract that allows us to, upon mutual concurrence, negotiate anything in the contract at any time. And I think, and Chase can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if we had some sort of written agreement with the city as to how we were gonna move forward with the plan to do this, then that would prevent any type of grievance from being filed. I mean, we wouldn't file a grievance at that point. Obviously, you can't just
Any
take my word
agreement
for
has
that.
to be in that collective bargaining
It has to be in writing.
I
And
do
those are
think,
things
though,
that
that we need to be very proactive in figuring out how to get them some officers, not necessarily to meet. So that's something that obviously we need to look at with budget and things, but
What were your numbers most of this year?
As far as
Just.
Staffing?
Uniform.
we've been down
patrol.
2 for the majority of the
Well,
year,
not what you're down. What were you operating on for the majority of the year?
the 20, and then, no, 19, 18, because Cameron doesn't even count yet, because Cameron's gone, so 18 officers is what we've been
You're
operating.
gonna be at 17 when everybody leaves for the highway patrol, so.
We'll be down to actually 15, because Cameron won't be out yet. So we'll be down, and I don't have an SRO, which is down by contract, which now I'm gonna pull
no,
somebody.
that's fine.
I do have another question.
Well, hold on, just give me one more second, if you don't mind. So, then also on, I think, Choi and I, we did not, when we were negotiating early on, I haven't been able to be at the last couple, but just, aren't getting everything
No,
that
they
they
didn't.
initially asked for. I mean, we did a lot of back and forth the first couple times we met, so just to say that they're getting everything they're asked for, I don't know that that's
Well,
what
you
our
better
story is
think.
either.
The retention is huge as far as that goes, because we are losing, this is 4 that are gone, and some are gonna GRDA,
Right.
2.
Well, some of the things that you didn't get was your PT program, that you were gonna get paid X amount of dollars if you passed the PT program and all that. We took all of that out. That was up around $200
We can,
yeah,
How many people have
person.
done it in the last year?
Actually, a lot more than we thought.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
That
a
was
lot of it.
taken out.
And they all got A's. I was surprised. I didn't try it.
They all got A's?
Pretty close. I mean,
One tried it.
it was-
Oh, I didn't even try it. There's no.
Yeah, I'm too old for that.
I am optimistic that if we look at this some more and work on some language and,
So, and to your point, Lori, I think you hit it on the head. Is there a way to make this language say along the, basically what you're saying, this is what we, literally our minimum staffing levels that we would like the council to work towards with the budget and everything, and the mayor,
Well, if we,
without, hang on, without making it legally binding, where we would be sued if we don't do that.
Not sued, a grievance filed.
Agree, whatever.
yeah,
And,
Okay,
I mean,
can,
exactly, what's the difference?
what
can we
if we,
Well, there
change the
isn't.
motion, can we change the motion that we can maybe take this back to the negotiating committee to work on the language for this, and then bring that back?
I think we can fix it with changing a word here. Instead of minimum, let's put ideal. Instead of minimum staffing level, maybe we could say ideal staffing level. And if we have the money to, bring it all the way up to the ideal level, how would that do, Chase?
I would either have it in or have it out.
Do what?
I would either have it in, the numbers, or have it out.
Well,
I
if
would
you
say
had
it's still
the,
agreeable ideal, because then they would just grieve it and say,
It's not
Our
ideal.
idea.
well,
So what
ideal
about
doesn't mean
certain
that
spots
it's,
after
Take-
January?
Either leave it in as is.
Hold a couple of them until
I mean,
January.
we can tinker with the wording of it in, but I think.
Did this go through you?
Want it out. No. I knew that was being talked about, but I got that the same time you guys did.
Well, let's just give some time to all talk and discuss this and see where we're at.
Bruce, I don't know, did you hear what Lori suggested?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Turn
I
up-
would
Turn up the
just,
volume a little
There's
bit.
been so much going on.
if we can change the motion that we take it back to negotiations and meet back again,
That'd be fine.
and
Yeah.
then bring it back.
Give us all,
Yeah.
give us
And
all a
then-
chance to do an
And,
input in
and,
it.
yeah, that gives us time to look at it. One thing I wanna ask,
But it goes through Chase before it comes back to the council.
I'm
yeah, I
good with
think
that.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
do,
I'm good with that.
Well,
with our
Chris,
negotiation team, do we have to hold ourselves down to just the two of us, or
Yep.
can we invite other people to come with us?
Nope, it can be Chase and you two and him.
Hmm?
It can be the two of you, him and him. You two have been appointed to negotiate. That's in one of the articles.
you
I
can't
guess
just
we could
pick up.
reappoint negotiators.
We're article.
We're
What?
articled in.
Can we reappoint negotiators?
For next year's contract, you can.
Yeah.
One question I have, we have the SROs listed. Now, that's funded by the school. What if the school backs out? Are we still obligated? We would have to step in? That's just a question to think about. That just crossed my mind. I'm not asking for an answer right now. I just want that thought out there.
the legal answer is, it's a contract that says we would have school resource officer.
School
Whatever.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
So unfortunate to that scenario, and please, if the school backs out, we're no longer obligated, but there's a moral obligation to
No,
take care of our children.
slammed it later.
By contract, we're obligated.
I don't think you are, though. I think financially responsible, it wouldn't not.
No, not
the
financial,
window.
just the moral
Right.
obligation of,
I don't think you'd be held bound to
we
that.
wanna make sure that
agreement.
we're
I don't
protecting our
think you could,
kids.
Why do you have to have detectives at the school?
because we don't have an SRO,
But why do we have to have anybody there?
because it's bound by contract.
It's the school.
That's my point with this.
It's not bound by this contract, it's bound by a contract
No,
with
no,
the school.
no, but if this is in there, then we're bound by a contract, the same way that it's causing a burden for you to fill the school.
It is a huge burden.
If
Not our
you, if you get the buy-in, it is possible that we take one of your SROs, put them on the street, and they hire them as security or do without. We can do that.
not this year because we agreed to,
There's a 30-day notice in there.
I ain't doing that to taxpayers or kids. You can do that.
Okay, Chase, I've got a question. In section 8.2, where it says on about the second line, it's underlined, it says, City of Pryor shall endeavor to ensure public safety, maintaining at a minimum staff level. What is the definition of endeavor for this
depends on
contract?
who you talk
That's
to.
why you make the big bucks.
Hang on,
Wikipedia.
Can I get that one back for you? I can look that up. I can't tell you the definition.
And then to answer Bruce's question earlier about, well, you could take a detective and put him out on the street or whatever. It says right here in the contract on the last paragraph that the chief of police will be responsible for the assignment, so he already has that authority to do that if he needs to.
Yeah, that's what I.
We do cover.
I'm just saying, generically, you do, yeah. You can assign people however you want, is what I'm saying.
Joanne, do you wanna change your motion
Sure, I'll change it.
to take that back to the?
To take it back to negotiations.
Who had the second?
I did.
For 8.2, or?
Yeah,
Are we
Can we just
good?
double check that there's no other ones you wanna work on that we're trying to add as far as the language on it, or?
I think the consensus that I've heard is everybody wants to read it.
Yeah, we want
Oh,
time to,
okay.
we didn't really have enough time to study it, to be honest with you. And we're making a decision on the city's behalf and binding the city under something that we haven't really had time to digest. And that was my biggest problem, because it's complex and we got questions and we want to make sure that the police aren't messed up and the city's not messed up.
But Chris, you've got a negotiation team that digested all that for you, and they came up with a recommendation.
Except they didn't see some of it.
Well, to your point, you said, is there anything that's in there?
Yeah.
Let me just throw this out to the council right now.
Everything else you're happy with.
If they come
This
back
part we didn't see.
with language in 8.2 that's amenable to us, are we still gonna vote it down because of this $10,000 contribution to Lodge? Or does that also need to be reconsidered as part of the, I mean, I don't wanna go back and forth 1,000 times here.
I think if you're sending it back to committee, you're sending it back to committee for them to start over.
You guys, everybody get what, read it, get what you want, get us some notes, we'll go back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Would it be possible for somebody to send us the current year's contract to know what is changing?
So
That's-
everything in blue
Yeah.
is what's currently in there.
Okay.
Everything in yellow is what's added. So in that's in the agenda is the current.
And again, this whole thing's over budget.
One last.
We don't know where we're at.
It's
always about money. We wouldn't argue about money.
No.
No, it was on a presentation that we gave.
I didn't hear what Councilman Bashir
We
said.
just,
We'll,
we just asked.
we haven't had anything.
All right,
Okay.
call for the vote?
There you go.
When's your meeting gonna be
When you
for
get
this?
us,
Vote was called for, so, sorry guys. Brown,
Yes, we're tabling, right? Or are we sending it
Send
back?
it back.
Sending it back to
Yes.
negotiating. That meeting will be scheduled when we're done with this meeting.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
All right.
Chase, just for whatevers, can we record that meeting?
You record it? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would help us a lot.
All right, item 2, discussion and possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $93,420 to OMAG for annual renewal policy GLA 140001709, general liability auto from general insurance fleet account 02-201-5043.
So moved.
Got a motion from Gantier,
Second.
that you, Bruce?
It'd be me.
All right, second
Mr.
from
Mayor,
Bruce.
that question I had about that particular invoice earlier, was that related to this?
You had a lot of questions about a lot
The
of
one
different-
from RCI?
No, that's
No.
not related to this. This
Okay,
is for our.
No,
our
this is
vehicle
OMAG,
insurance.
that's RCI.
Okay.
Two different issues. Right. All right, no further discussion, call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
All right. Item 3, discussion possible action regarding regarding an expenditure in the amount of $134,873 to OMAG for annual renewal policy PRO 140003309, property from general insurance property account 02-201-5045.
So moved.
Motion from Gantier,
Second.
second from Mr. Shropshire. Discussion?
I will say that we have to pay out of this account, or out of this policy, MUB's properties, and they reimburse us every year for that, so we'll be getting a reimbursement for a portion of this.
Question regarding what you just said. This 134, that's all of ours, and they'll be reimbursed, or they have additional?
No, that 134 is the check we're gonna cut to OMAG, and then MUB will cut a check back to us to
Thank
reimburse
you.
us for their portion.
Thank you.
I'm reading this right, all these are over $10,000 fees.
Yes, and that's something we've discussed for quite a while, is the insurances and especially like workman's comp this year.
Our
Workman's comp,
property insurance actually was $780 cheaper than last
It does make me feel good. I think there's a lawsuit trying to decide that, so.
In regards to the budget.
All right, we'll keep that on subject. Go ahead.
Last question, but to make sure I'm reading everything right here. On the Cassell, it says year-to-date budget $2,500. Why, year-to-date actual is $122,645.
So as we,
You're looking in Cassell for the
Yes.
numbers? We don't
Yes.
have our new fiscal year budget approved, so we can't have any numbers in there. So it looks like we're really broke right now.
Which we are.
Yeah.
Hey, the budget chair said we are broke, so
Yeah, we're
keep that in mind for future discussions.
Well, yeah, well, I was just curious because on both of these that I looked at, the variance was really, really, really high.
Yeah, we have to encumber those purchase orders too, so it'll have an amount in there for the encumbrance of these, but there's no budget in there, so it looks really crazy right now because it doesn't have anything to offset.
further discussion? None? Call for vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Okay, item 4, discussion and possible action to accept a bid from Professional Pest Control in the amount of $2,499 per week for the citywide mosquito fogging. No other bids were received.
Motion.
Second.
Problem.
Yes.
That
So-
says per week. We were actually,
I was just getting ready to address that.
okay.
I asked Mike's here, I asked him to come and kind of talk to us about his process, but I did want to read the bids as they were sent to the paper and posted in the paper. Terry, you took my email, correct? We had 2 bids that we requested, and for those who want to see, that's directly from the email there, and I'll share it.
I also left it on the city website for this meeting itself. It's still posted on the website.
It's on the city website?
It's been there the whole time. You told me to put it on there, and I put it on there.
No, that's great.
Oh,
Just trying to
well, I printed this off.
Clarified.
Just trying to make sure that was heard by the full audience. Yes, that made me feel absolutely awesome.
That's what you guys mean.
Yes. So the city of Pryor Creek is accepting bids for citywide, and I want to make sure that the council understands this is from the minutes of the meeting. Citywide mosquito spraying as needed. This is for the months of July, August, September, October of '24, and May and June of '25. Contractor should contact the mayor for an appointment to discuss if needed. Bids must be turned in by 5 p.m. Monday, July 15th, 2024 to the city clerk's office at City Hall, 12 North Rose Street, Pryor, Oklahoma. All bids will be reviewed on Tuesday, July 16th, 6 p.m. or 7:30 in the council chamber. Also post, the city of Pryor Creek is accepting bids for mosquito spot spraying. This is for the months of July, August, September, October. Everything else is exactly the same as the first one. Charles, I think I called you to confirm that that was your request, correct? And I got that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that we discussed that, and Mike, come on up if you want, since you were the one bid. But we have on yours weekly, and we didn't request weekly, and we were bi-weekly. Can you explain?
And that, I think that's where the concern was,
Correct.
Mike and Zach, is, the agenda does say $24.99 per week. And if you read the bid, it's entire city weekly, and then cost per treatment, $24.99, which is $10,000 a month.
This is what you, okay.
Cost per treatment, we call it. We
call it
per treatment.
Either that was the bi-weekly that we were doing before is what that price is.
Bi-weekly, yes.
Yeah, the original bid was correct, I believe, I've got that somewhere.
Yeah. So is that something that we could probably just call a scrivener error?
A what?
It should have said bi-weekly instead of weekly?
Yeah, cost
Do
per
we need to
treatment.
Okay.
re-bid then, or what did, let me consult. Well, let me consult.
Thank you.
What was the actual bid wording? It was weekly?
So in the bid, it says fogging the entire city weekly for the months of,
Oh, yeah, I see that, okay.
That's the contract. He was one of the bids that we published.
that was the bid we got.
No, what was it published?
Oh, what we published?
Yeah.
Didn't say weekly or bi-weekly, it said as needed and spot spraying. So.
think since it's as needed, his proposal is weekly. For that quote.
Which you meant to do
Bi-weekly.
bi-weekly.
I don't think there's an issue to amend that then. As long as whatever you're amending is not changing what your bidding request was, which wouldn't be changing that. Yeah, I think you're fine to do that.
So that would be bi-weekly, that would
Not changed.
be the initial. But that's just a drive and fog, correct?
That's fogging, yes.
Okay. And did you want to address, I guess, how do we address that second bid, the spot spraying, since we didn't get a bid back on it?
How do you determine the spot?
Well, from time to time, citizens call and say, I can't even go out in my backyard. You know, I can't even walk over by the stack of tires that's full of water. 'Cause I
Right.
get ate up by mosquitoes.
Mhm.
They call us, they tell us, hey, got a hot spot on the west side, we attack it. Whether we've already done it 2 days before. What we try to do is cover the city weekly. And we've got the southwest part, the northwest, everything north of Main Street. We've got between Main Street and 9th Street, and everything south of 9th Street. So it's not that's the way it's done every single time. It just depends on how much rain we've got, because there's certain areas that hold water more. Some alleys on the north end holes in the alley that hold a lot more water. We just know where to go.
Okay.
We know where the hot spots are.
Okay,
Areas that are a little bit drier, it's just kind of when we start in the evenings, and this is done over a 2 or 3 night period during the week to completely cover. It takes 8 to 9 hours to completely cover the city of Pryor
I'll bet
at
it
a
does.
one-time deal. And that's driving 10, 12 miles an hour.
Mhm.
I mean, every now and then when you start to fall asleep and that thing rolls up to 15 miles an hour, you gotta catch yourself and shut it
Exactly.
down. But it takes 8, 9 hours, sometimes more, to cover the whole city, depending on who's outside playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, who's got their garage door open. We slow down, we turn it off, we go past that, we turn it back on. And in the areas that where people are raising bees in the city. And I just wanted, you're not asking this, but I want to throw this in there, okay? You know, I've been accused as the #1 bee killer in Mays County. I don't know if I should be proud of that or not, but I do have a man I just talked to tonight. His name's Jordan Mado. He lives at 112 Bryan Street, right on the corner of 9th and Bryan. You turn off 9th Street, right onto Bryan. He's right there on the east side. He's got 3 or 4 hives in his backyard. We go up to his property line on 9th, we shut it off, we go around the corner, we turn it right back on, we go past his property. We go down 9th Street on the other side. That stuff's probably getting in his backyard, and he says his bees are increasing continuously. He gave me some numbers on how many, that queen lays 1,500 eggs a day. The workers live 4 to 5 weeks. He loses 200 a day just to natural death, but he said he's not having any ill effects on his bee population. In fact, it's growing.
My
So-
question, if I understand this right, when you're fogging, you're shooting it up in the air, and once it hits the ground, it does nothing. When it hits the ground, it's dead, right? It has no effect. So you're just killing the mosquitoes in the air.
Yeah, this is a ULV, ultra low volume, cold aerosol fogger. Air has a compressor on it, mixes that air. This type of application is designed to kill active mosquitoes with little or no residual control.
Okay.
That's 4% permethrin. It's very low. It's not designed to leave a residual. It kills the adult mosquitoes in the air. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion, and there are products to put in the water that have to be repeated each time it rains. It's actually, I looked into it a couple of days ago, had my supplier call me and give me a bunch of information. If you want to put it out for bids, it's going to cost you about 4 times that to treat the water around here, just based on how much we have. That is a larvicide, only kills mosquitoes in the water. We've got to realize there are gutters packed full of water right now, plugged up from those little maple leaf things that fall in. Not everybody can get up
clean their gutters out. There's spare tires in backyards, there's cans, there's kiddie pools, dog water, any kind of stagnant water. I'm continually spraying around homes every day. And in an effort to try to help people out with mosquitoes, they don't even ask for it. I see things in their yards that cause problems, and I go ahead and I spray that with a residual spray to try to knock down the population even more in conjunction with what we're doing with the city. But yeah, to answer your question, little to no residual at all with the permethrin.
So Mayor, are we, or maybe a city attorney, we're legal, everything's done right, everybody's happy, we can vote on it. Back up on that.
Please don't say everybody's happy.
Check your email.
But
I
as
can
far
tell
as
you-
legally, everything's done right.
There's a lot of people that are happy.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And these are names on I did this a couple of years ago. I've contacted several of these people. They're all still in favor. This covers, even though it's been said that it's only 1% of the population, this covers areas in every one of your wards. These people, their signatures and their addresses. You like to see it.
And I will say that, and I think I jokingly said it to most of you, that the message I got from Joe Eric the day after last meeting, basically saying, Mayor, the mosquitoes are awful.
Actually, I called him, he's in my ward, that's why I called him and talked to him, and lo and behold, on Southeast 14th Street, there's a swimming pool, above ground swimming pool at a vacant house full of water. So, I mean,
Stagnant.
send Jeremy out there with Humphreys and there's a couple of shotguns and blast that thing apart. I mean,
Oh, Bruce, look at you, mister. How are the beavers in your park?
I don't do anything.
Yeah, let's,
Not in the city anyway.
Mr.
Not
Evans
the
is
city.
cool with what, everything.
Not a farm, use a boat, that way.
But I do have a question, why did you drop your bid $1 from $2,500 to $2,499?
I just want to be more competitive.
Boy, you asked for that one.
I will say this.
That's a great answer.
Great answer.
I negotiated the price of this chemical down from $101 a gallon. When I started this out at the same price 6 years ago, it was $57 a gallon. I negotiated it down to $85 a gallon. It takes 9 gallons to do the city one time. That's $765. It cost me $180 labor at $20 an hour. I can't find anybody that will drive it for less than $20 an hour, because if you've ever done it at 10, 12 miles an hour continuously, it's work. Believe it or not, it's work just sitting there tapping that brake, because my vehicle wants to idle at 15 miles an hour. So you gotta ride the brake, you gotta keep it at 10, 12 miles an hour. There's an average of $45 of gas every time we do it. And then, I guess if I added in all the licensing fees, the insurance, the building payment, the vehicle insurance, the workman's comp insurance, everything else, best I could figure, I'm spending about $1,140 to do a $1,250 treatment for each week. It figures $1,250 a week, or $2,500 for 2 weeks. That would be $2,280. And I've said this many, huh?
Your mistake is you didn't get the FOP to negotiate that for you.
Yeah.
That's what that's done.
The services are available.
Behave.
Well, I'll tell you
You're able
what,
to be a contract negotiator?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did. If I felt I was being bullied on, I did bring my chief of staff. You don't want none of that.
No.
No.
well played.
So, guys, I'm not making a killing on this, really and truly, I promise you, it's not about money. I've been doing this for almost 30 years for Pryor, and I've been fogging it with a $25,000 fogging machine for 16 years. I made money 6, 7 years ago. I'm not making money. Now, my driver's making money, and every now and then I go out and do it. But it's honestly, it's not about money on this. It can't be at these numbers. But it's helping Pryor because I've got a list of, that I brought last time I came up here, all these diseases that mosquitoes carry. So it is a cost at a time when I understand we're having a little problem with the budget. I appreciate you allowing me to do this, But really and truly, I've tried real hard over the last few years to not become a millionaire, and I can say I succeeded. But I get great satisfaction out of knowing maybe, just maybe, with your decision and what I've done, we've prevented some small child or elderly person or middle-aged person from getting either one of these diseases. I think we have. I think we've performed well. We've never had any documentation I know of that from the health department, and they're actually at this time, or were a month ago or 2 months ago, conducting their own mosquito population studies. I visited with a health department official. She questioned me about what we do for mosquitoes, and she told me they were doing population tests. I haven't seen the results of it, but I know I can't kill every single one of them, but I can sure keep the numbers down. But the breeding sites are just unreal, the number of them. And it's not just this city, it's every city, it's everywhere. And I know somebody, they say, when are they gonna start? You've been in Joe's backyard, you've seen all this foliage. Sometimes people have to realize, you know, this fog, it's only gonna do so much. We're trying to do it the best we can. We allow the wind to carry this. Sometimes the wind direction is away from Joe's house. May not penetrate deep into his backyard, but he's got a lot of foliage back there, lots of plants, and he takes care of that. But there are several different types of mosquitoes. There are protein feeders, there are nectar feeders that feed off plants, and there's some that feed off nectar and protein. And plants and shrubs around people's homes are one of the #1 hotspots for these things. And that's what we're trying to attack with this program.
Can you speak to something, because I know a lot of folks are obviously wanting the mosquito population control, and then but there are also others that raise concerns just with permethrin or anything else. Can you speak to what the difference would be, or what the issues or obstacles would be for the whole spot spray and stuff, where to determine that you need to spray, and then how often, or how you work that out in your charging and in your costs? Because I mean, from a business side, it's very nitty gritty and can pose problems where not only are you not making money, you're losing money. But the concern that some have expressed is this is $5,000 a month of city taxpayer money. And aside from the other concerns, do you have any thoughts on those concerns that folks have, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what the concern I'm answering.
The concern is, in one of the bids, it was spot spraying. What is the obstacle to doing that?
I don't believe there is an obstacle to spot spraying, but we're using the wrong terminology here. The bid was put out wrong in as far as terminology goes.
Okay.
Spraying and fogging are two different things. We fog with a ULV fogger.
So to use that terminology, what is the obstacle to doing that as opposed to just blanket the whole city?
Well, we blanket the whole city once a week, but like I said, we get calls from time to time if areas are holding water after heavy rain, and those areas become stagnant and they become breeding grounds. That is an area, it's, for example, the creek that runs off of First Street between the softball fields and the baseball fields, it goes back in there and runs north to Highway 20 behind the old Mission. I guess to answer a spot spray is when we determine which direction the wind blowing. If the wind's coming out of the south, prevailing north, we'll pull up on that bridge and stop and sit there for as long as we can until traffic drives us away from it, and allow that wind to carry that fog all the way down that creek. It'll go all the way down to Highway 20 if we have ample wind. And just the opposite, if the wind's out of the north prevailing south, we'll park on that bridge and we'll let it go all the way down that creek. Sometimes if it's wet, we can't get very close to that creek But we go all through the baseball fields, all back and behind them, all on the softball fields, all around them. We get on the softball fields, we get on the baseball fields. But I'm still not quite sure what the obstacle is. You mean spot spraying?
Well, I guess the idea was other communities or other cities were determining locations where the issues are bad with mosquitoes, and they were only treating those areas as opposed to blanket treating.
Well, that may be done with a larvicide, where they go in and there's actually a chemical called Alticid Pro G. It's a case of 100 briquettes that covers a 10 by 10 area, slowly release adulticide. There's another one called Alticid Pro G Granule. That's a 2.5 pound bottle, 12 bottles per case, 7 pounds per acre of water. It's a granular that's spread. They offer a.
So what's the effectiveness of that versus fogging?
Fogging attacks the adults. It penetrates deeper into foliage, whereas treating the water is a larvicide, kills the larva. But again, there are spare tires all over this town. At every tire place sitting outside, they're holding water. The adult side, we can't put it there. Or the larva side, we can't put it there. There's gutters on people's homes. There's shrubberies that harbor mosquitoes. So by treating the water, you'll kill the larva in those areas and slow the reproduction down, but you won't stop the adult mosquitoes.
It's also on his contract that he has 24-hour on-call service for areas needing immediate attention.
Yeah, and you'll also notice too that we treated I believe he went out 4 times and treated the area where they did the fireworks. Sheree and she drove, I sit on the tailgate. We put 200 gallons of a residual chemical out all across the soccer fields and the area. I think, Zach, you had said you don't go past that substation, and we went to the
It
substation.
wasn't our plan, but we ended up doing it. But yeah, we didn't have, I don't think we had any complaints of mosquito. I didn't have any issues.
I did.
Okay.
I had so much
I
sunscreen on,
was
they wouldn't have made it
mosquito-free.
through it anyway.
Well, we didn't charge a penny for that.
I think you give us a great deal.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
just,
true.
Yeah, I hope you appreciate my numbers.
yeah, my
Yeah.
vote here is gonna reflect the money that I think we need to save in the budget, so.
Now, if you'd like to feel sorry for me and say, Mike, we want to give you $5,000 every 2 weeks,
Bidding procedures prohibit us from doing that.
I can make some money and I can feel a lot
So to
happier about it.
clarify, your proposal, your contract, whatever, it's, the cost for treatment is not $24.99, it's your bi-weekly cost. It's gonna be the $24.99, right?
Yeah, I guess if we said weekly, it would be $12.49 or $12.49.50 per week. I just bid it at $24.99 to cover what we call a treatment, a 2-week treatment.
So a total of $5,000 a month.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
You know, how would the city get in the business of fogging for mosquitoes? Whenever it's people's private property that has water. If I get mosquitoes, I call professional pest control. Can y'all come out and take care of whatever it is, or any other pest? Why is the city responsible for how much ever money this is for mosquitoes on people's property? We don't go and spray for ants. We don't go and spray for cockroaches. Why mosquitoes?
Because it's a public health problem.
I can get more grossed out on cockroaches than I do mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes carry more disease than
Well, it's no, you don't
So-
probably get it off of cockroaches though.
I was talking, I was just.
Have we even had a mosquito disease in Northeast Oklahoma, other than, I think, Tulsa?
What is that, Zika?
So I was talking.
I'm a lawyer, not a doctor.
I think there's been some West Nile cases
Boston's had 2
occasionally.
or 3 cases of different diseases.
So I was talking to one of our clerks today, I won't say which name, but one of our clerks has some young children, and she had they've seen a lot of kids with swollen mosquito bites this year. They're
Oh, they're nasty.
more so than normal.
Yeah, I've got a list here of, about 10 different, diseases that we have here in Oklahoma that our mosquitoes carry. Worst one being the Zika virus and the West Nile virus. And there's a lot of them. They transmit heartworm to animals, dogs, cats. Yeah, they're pretty nasty.
There's more people killed in the world by mosquitoes than any other thing.
Well, that's quite a
Malaria and
statement.
all that.
You said that's quite a statement.
Well, it's true though, if you look,
I'll have to look that up.
it is.
All right.
So if you think we're good,
Legally, you're fine.
Okay.
we'll call for the vote.
Oh, that's twice she's done it.
Good
That's-
job.
Hey,
Thank you.
Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She called your name.
Smith.
that's you, Bruce.
Yes, yes, yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Trammell.
No.
Gantier.
Yes.
All right. Item 5. It's you. Discussion with Jeff Coker and the city council regarding financial matters of the city. This will include, but not limited to, current budget and next year's budget. City budgets may be addressed, but especially the general budget agenda items submitted by Councilman Smith, Councilman Lamar, and Councilman Brown.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion
don't
from
forget
Gantier,
the-
second from Brown.
You gotta approve H too, maybe.
Yes, but they wanted H after this.
Okay,
Unless this is contingent on H.
might be.
We have a new fiscal year, so.
Do we have our final numbers?
Wait, what?
Our final numbers for the fiscal year
Nope.
No.
just ended?
We are very, very, very close to it, but we're hoping to have it done by the end of this week, but we can't make that promise.
So can you give us a ballpark, well, not even ballpark, a very accurate stab of what our budget authority is gonna be this year?
Okay, in June, when I got the May numbers, I sent a report like I do every month, and I calculated that our budget was gonna go down about 500,000.
Say that number again?
500,000, which is actually, it's been fairly consistent for the last several months. So that's in the ballpark about where we're at. So I think we're going to be, I think it said in the paper about 9 million, but that's going to be about right probably.
That will keep us from using any reserves.
No, that's just the total budget.
What's the number to keep us from using reserves?
Well, I estimate your revenues are going to be about 8.2 million.
Okay.
Okay? So that means
For
you-
the last year?
for last year. Yeah. So if that's the case, then that's what that's the max you spend. Now, you're not, I don't think you're gonna spend, your total budget was something, 9 million something or other last year, and you're not spending all of that. You don't usually spend all your budget, but, you're still spending more than you're bringing in. Right?
Just because we didn't spend it doesn't mean that we still didn't dip into our reserves.
No, that's
that we already
correct.
had.
Right. If we had spent all of our budget, it would have been worse.
Correct.
They did cut back. Because initially, you weren't on the board at the time, but initially, when I first did this, I said that it looks like we're going to be 1.2 million short. So we've reduced that down to around 500,000, so that's, better. Still not great.
But our estimated revenues for next, from what we got last year would be 8.2.
Yes.
So however we look at it, we're gonna be at least 500,000.
We're going to have 500,000 less budget than we did the year before. That's
Okay.
correct.
And so we only correct that two ways, right? Increase income or decrease expenditure.
Right. Right. Or a combination thereof.
And when you're saying a budget in the nines, you're counting using
Oh, yeah.
a percentage of our reserves.
Yeah, all your reserves. The way you budget is 90% of your prior year revenue
Correct.
plus 100% of your carryover.
So when I do that, that's where I come up with about that number.
Is 8.2 90% or is 8.2 100% revenue?
No, 8.2 is 100%. I'm just saying, no matter what your budget is, if you spend less than you bring in, you're going to be okay as far as your reserves go. They won't go down.
If I just were to say it.
What is your recommendation at this point?
Well, I mean, of course, what's the biggest expense of the general fund?
Salaries.
Salary?
So typically, the biggest place, the easiest place to cut would be the place with the most expense.
Which is salaries, right?
That is what salaries is your general fund. Now, I'm not saying you need to do that, that's really up to you guys, but really, that's the easiest way to cut. I mean, because really, if you look at your other expenditures, you don't want to have a lot of extra stuff in there. You just spent,
What our salaries are?
huh?
Do you know what the number is for our salaries each year?
7 million something or other.
Last year was just over
7.7
right at six.
last year.
Okay, so you can see that there's not, and you just spent a couple $100,000 on insurance, and you can't really go without that. You know, so there's just not a lot of extra space in this general fund budget.
Well, in the beginning of last year, you said that if we wanted a 1.2 million carryover, we'd probably have to save 100,000 a month.
Well, that's initially when
That
I
was
did
the
that.
goal anyway.
Well, yeah, initially when I did the project, I mean, when I did the projection, because this was the first 2 months, and, you know, a lot of, it's harder to project 10 months than it is 5 months or 4 months. But I initially projected 1.2 million short. Well, that's 100,000 a month, right? So your revenues actually, I project, are increasing a little bit. Not a whole lot, 130,000, which is better than nothing. But, so that means that spending was reduced during that time period. It just wasn't reduced $100,000 a month.
So probably, by us having the hiring freeze, we saved some right there.
I would think so, yes.
But we didn't save enough.
Well, and one question too, when I'm looking at what the sales tax has been reported
Mhm.
most recently, obviously the numbers have gone up from the most recent, the earliest year on this is fiscal year 1920, 2019, 2020, but inflation kind
Well,
of does away with
Yeah,
the gains that.
part of your problem is you're on a fixed budget, pretty much, because you really don't have a way to just increase your revenue.
Right.
But your expenses aren't, because you have to deal with inflation. You have to have, you have employees who are feeling the effects of inflation. Your insurance, your gas, everything has gone up, except my contract, by the way. I haven't raised it in years, but that's okay.
You can pay that man back there and renegotiate it for you.
Yeah.
He'll do it for you for a contract.
So, in your opinion, if you're able to speak to this, given there are critical things that the city has to have,
Yes.
whether we like it or not,
You know,
fire department, police
no,
department.
I'm not saying,
Where-
yeah.
Where should we,
Oh, that's the problem. I tell you, you need to cut money, but it's not my job to tell you where, because you really need to decide what is important for the city.
Let me speak more hypothetically to
Well,
what Kenneth.
Let him finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
just to clarify, where would we want our monthly revenue, sales tax revenues to be in order to try to, fulfill the desired police department? I mean,
I don't know, I haven't put a number to that. It's a lot more, because remember, whatever sales tax you get, not even half of it, not quite half of it goes to the general fund, right?
right,
It's
just under half.
Yeah,
Well, and even then, these numbers are higher because people are paying more on everything they buy.
they're paying more, but the problem is
But
they're,
it's not buying anything.
but also you have to imagine that a lot of people probably aren't getting giant raises either. So they're using the same amount of money to buy less stuff, it's costing them more per item probably. So they're probably spending close to about the same amount of money. A little bit more, as you can see, your sales tax is going up, but there's probably, as time goes on, there's more people and more things and more to-dos.
Agree with that, that's all.
Okay?
I apologize again for cutting you off. I thought you were done. Anyway, kind of speaking at a higher level than what he was saying, we have cut to the, staffing to the bone. I literally believe we are at critical levels at this point across all the departments. We have cut, the department heads have cut their expenses this last year. According to the mayor, they've done a very good job, I believe you. We're still losing money.
Yeah.
So, we can't cut an expense that's not there. So, to me, the only other option is we got to generate revenue somehow. We bring in the businesses, which is not your avenue, or can we relook the allocation of our sales tax and try to boost more to the general fund? Does the council have the authority to do that, or is this all by vote of the people?
All by the vote of the people. You guys can approve us to take it to the vote of the people, but that's it.
I think there was some tax that we had at one time that was being allocated to a different fund, but it's back in the general fund.
It was street department.
Yeah, so we don't want it to make, we don't want, we don't want to make him that mad.
We heard him already.
I think we took it out there, I don't think we ever gave it back.
No, you didn't.
No, you
It's still in the general fund. So I think, so the only thing is you can take it to the vote of the people to reallocate some of that sales tax if you wanted to.
You're a professional accountant. In your long-term opinion for the city, are we better to cut spending, or have we cut spending to the point that we need to look at increasing revenues in another way?
I would think you would try to investigate the possibility of raising revenue. I know there's some discussion about possible additional sources of revenue through utility department. I also know there's some talk of maybe offloading some expenses possibly through an agreement with the county, but that's neither here nor there right at the moment. So it's just not to that point. So, so there's some of that stuff that's possible, but revenues would be great if you could do it. I know that one of my smaller towns, their sales tax was 3%, and they said, well, we're going to go out for a vote. And I go, really? He goes, we're going to raise it to 4.5. And I thought, wow, that's ambitious. And I said, I'm not sure that will pass, but I hope it does. And it did. So I don't know. There are things like that could possibly work. But certain fees, raising fees, et cetera, all that could be.
One of the things that's been thrown out, I won't call any names, is adding a fee to everybody's utility meter.
Okay. I've seen that done before.
That, I think, would be suicide. That is nothing but a sneak tax. Fee and tax, same three-letter word.
Well, not legally.
May not be legally, but it means the same.
I understand I understand, but we also have to look at what the city needs too. And I agreed that you can only cut to a point where you bleed to death, and you don't want that either, right? So you have to decide to what level is that, and that's for you guys to decide. But you need to decide, have you cut enough? And if you can't cut any more, then the only alternative is to raise revenues at some level.
Well, there is a way to cut more we don't want to, but the only thing else is salaries.
Well,
personnel, that's the only way we're going to cut it. Either that or the people want to vote for a tax. But we're at the point now, we can't keep blaming it on everybody else. We've got to deal with it somewhere.
You've been our accountant for a number of years.
well, Ron was the accountant for a while, and then I joined in just as things were going.
But 5, 6 years ago, we had 12 million-ish in reserves?
Oh, no.
No, I don't think we ever had that. No, 12 million in reserve? No, we've had at most maybe a few million.
I think the highest I saw when I was budget chair was 1.9.
Yeah.
That's been disputed down to a couple $1,000, but.
Yeah, we've never had 12 million. We've had maybe 2 million, close, okay.
Okay. Where do we sit now?
Well, let's see here. I don't think, we're probably gonna be about 800,000 carryover, maybe.
Did a large influx of employees several years ago cause this issue, or what has got us to where we're at?
Inflation.
Let him say that.
Would you say inflation?
Well, there's inflation as part of it.
I
Yes.
can speak to some of this, you know, because one, there was, I apologize if my years are not spot on, I wanna say 2018. This was before Larry. We had a citywide 8.3% cost of living that went to the mayor's desk, and I told him, I said, you know, that's not just a one-time bump, that's a tremendous amount added on every month, every year. We gotta do it, nobody's had a raise in, I think it was 11 years, is the, Troy, do you remember, was it?
It was almost that, yeah.
He said, nobody's had a raise in 11 years. And I said, well, let's start with the employees that have been here 11 years, right? Nope, we gotta do it. So that made it through, we did that, and the next year it was another pretty hefty one. On top of that, we started to see the incline of insurances. I don't know that it was ever really a hiring thing. I think it was just
It was a creep.
Insurance.
It was a cost creep. Everything sort of went up. There were raises. There were some extra spending that probably may not have been necessary.
There were some funds that came out of the general fund and went to other accounts, which is not a discussion I really want to go down, but the idea is, it was a trickle effect of a number.
Yeah, and the thing is,
And then COVID.
the problem was inherited by the current board. It was a problem at the beginning of the year when the new administration took over. So it's not like it's just created, but it does need to be addressed.
I'm just trying to understand how we got from where we were at to where we're at now, to understand where do we need to make changes to fix this and right the ship. So something has to change.
Yes.
We can't keep overspending.
Nope.
So I love what Bruce keeps referencing, and there's so much truth to it. We can either, but I'm gonna add to it what Jeff said, you know, Bruce says we can either cut our spending or increase our revenues, or, like Jeff says, if we can amend that for you, Bruce, or we can work on both. And I think, you know, this is where over the last year, I talked, you know, Courtney and her team and the changes that we've brought out in terms of the way that our community development works with permits and things like that, readjusting those, relooking at collecting. We did the amnesty period to try to get some of those dead fines collected. There's been an accumulation of things at City Hall that have been changed. I know working with the EDTA, we've done things. We've talked about how we can buoy up our businesses in town and help them become more self-sustaining, so we're not losing them as fast. It's kind of a myriad of effects, but none of it is fast.
What we really need, what the city really needs is a increase in repetitive income. You know, I mean, collecting dead tickets is great, but what we really need is something that's steady, continuous, and repetitive.
What's examples of that?
Well, sales tax is a repetitive income. You know, the use tax, the fees at the MUB could be. You also get money from MUB. I was under the impression there might possibly be some negotiation of increasing that amount, that kind of stuff. You know, things, you know, like if...
Well, they had, for example, MUB has already set their budget. Is that increase in their budget?
They do their own budget. I don't have to because they have done it for so many years.
Mayor, do you know?
Yes, so that discussion, it would have to be opened up. That would be Mr. McBride and Mr. Ben and Jared and I would have to sit down and open that discussion.
Well, no, I'm saying they've already set their budget.
Yeah, but they-
so was it included in their new
They really
budget?
wanted any changes like we would have done previous to that budget.
But they can change their budget.
They can change it. You know, there's a lot of things that have been discussed, and also keep in mind, we can't budget it, and it was a question I threw
some of that increase, yeah, see, because we can only budget the cash that we brought in, and even though we know a future revenue. The only difference is we budget MEB at 100% because it's a interfund transfer. They are a department of the city, so that money is sort of guaranteed, whereas really technically, the school being a separate agency, even though we do have a contract, things could happen. It's not a
But
guarantee.
because Mob's part of the city, we can count that one.
Huh?
But because Mob's part of the city, we can count that one.
That was the logic behind it many years ago, and it's been done like that ever since.
We definitely do not want to merge with MUB.
Huh?
We definitely do not.
No, we don't want to merge, but they are still a department of the
I'm
city.
saying we definitely want to do.
So basically, we're just at the point of, we're bare bones on staffing. We start losing any more, we're either shutting down departments, or we are raising revenue one way or another. That's really.
Well, I don't know about shutting down departments. You would certainly be operating at less capacity than
Right.
less than full capacity, but, I mean, yeah,
I think the proper term would be cutting services.
Yeah, cutting services.
yes.
So,
I did notice something, I wanted to check our notes. We never actually moved, I'm sorry buddy if you're watching this, but we never actually moved the street department's tax allocation back to the general fund.
I thought you
The
said we
last
did.
time- Not according to the council minutes,
But you, okay.
but if I'm wrong, I'd definitely be happy to go back and
So,
dig even further. But as of right now, we're still putting money into Fund 14, which is the street department.
Well, no, the street department still gets a sales tax. There's money, but there was an extra sales tax that was
They cut the allocation formula to divert it to general fund.
well, there used to be at least one part, a tax that could be allocated between, and it might have been the use tax that was allocated to capital that we now keep in the general fund.
So that has bounced back and forth.
But street gets a sales tax of X%, and then I think that was voted on. I don't think there is I'm not sure if there is an extra amount that can be diverted back and forth or not, but you might want to look on that. Okay?
so, there's also the encouragement to the people, shop local.
Yeah.
Make sure, and I know that we say that kind of in a cliche thing, but there's a lot of truth to that. We look at the months that we have big events in town, and our sales revenues are up substantially. We're crossing our fingers that July comes through with great numbers again. It's a small thing, and I know we don't have everything. I put a little, I was trying to be funny, put a little post on Facebook the other day about Little Caesar's sign above the Tiger Tunnel that says, "We're coming back." And I went retro and said, well, I petitioned for him to bring back pizza by the foot. I don't know if you remember the 10.99 deal from like the 90s. And there was an individual that said, we've got too many of that. Why do we want that back? And I said, we'll take whatever we can get. 10.99 pizza is $1 in our pocket. Not really a full dollar, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, the idea is we want to make sure that on the city side, and this is what we've been working really hard to work on, is to make the city inviting to contractors, to developers, to people that want to come in. We're not advocating for an unnatural boom and growth, but we are at a point where we need to grow. Our workers in the industrial park need homes, apartments, whatever it is. We've got to be willing. We've got people that want to put in storage sheds and various businesses, whether we like that business or not. We have an obligation in terms of raising revenues to make sure that we're being as accommodating as we can. But also, we don't want to be so accommodating that all of the riffraff just slips through the cracks and we have problems. So it's been a refining process. When you say a refining process, hardcore.
Yeah.
Well, and a part of that too, I guess this is where my main concern is with growth and stuff, making sure the city is safe is, we have a police department that's saying they need people. I understand how many people can be up for debate, but that is a core function of our city. Police department, fire department is core. Sorry to everybody else, I'm not saying you're not important, but we can't function. We don't have that. So my guess my concern is what do we need to do in order to make sure we can help them out?
So I had a meeting this week, yesterday. What is it?
Yeah, it was
It was
yesterday.
yesterday, yes. I'm sorry. And I brought in the department heads and it was a closed door meeting. And I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't, Jeff, you could probably cut the air with a spoon in there when you think it was pretty thick.
Yeah, they weren't the happiest.
They weren't happy, but I gave them all, I didn't give them a percent. I know some of you said, give them a percent. I challenged them and it wasn't really a challenge, it was a go and cut your budgets back. Starts with them, starts with your departments, a little bit of autonomy for what they have control over. Go back and trim them down. And if it's not enough, then it's gonna have to be more. That's the bottom line. And so as we did that, the conversations were good and healthy. Some of them have called with concerns and things that, questions, but, when we talk about the fire, and Chief Young, who, man, he runs a tight ship, very tight ship, came up and he said, well, 5% of my total budget is stuff I have control over. Only 5%. I said, okay. So he went on, he was frustrated, and last night about 9:45, 10 o'clock, he called me. And he said, well, one of the things that we have the ability to do, but we don't do, is to discuss corporate call fees. For example, if Walmart gets a call and they have to go out within the city limits, we have the ability to charge them, but we haven't been. We looked at some leases, and one of the leases had an agreement in there where they were to pay 2/3 of the utilities for a city building. And by golly, handshake deal from more than a decade ago, they were told they didn't have to. So for more than a decade, we've been paying those utilities on a building we get very little, if any, revenue for. So, there comes that point where, business is business, and we have to do, and we have to cinch down. As a city, those are things that, my gosh, every day we're looking at something, trying to figure out where something has slid through the cracks, where we can do, avoiding avoiding costly lawsuits and stuff like that. That's all stuff we're on our radar. And so, it's going to take a team effort. It's going to take you guys coming up with ideas and bringing them to the table. Some of them may work, some may not. Bruce, just about every council comes back with things we should and shouldn't, pay attention to, and, things with the police repairs or, and I appreciate that. All of you have had something, and I appreciate that. That's what we're going to have to continue.
How many,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
how many cities do we know of that run strictly on tax dollars?
Everyone in Oklahoma,
No?
in the state of
What do you
Oklahoma.
mean by strictly tax dollars?
I was listening to them on the news the other morning, they were talking about Tulsa's budget. Tulsa's budget, half of the budget was tax dollars. The other half of their budget was other things that they had tacked on, like special fees.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you were
Yeah,
asking. No.
but we're the only one that I know of around here that's trying to work on straight tax dollars, period.
Well, you have tax dollars, and you have like the contract with the school, you have police fines, I don't know what other fees and stuff.
Well, like Tulsa, they're added fees to their utility bills or whatever to be
Well,
able
yeah.
to bring their money up to where they have to have it. And there
One
was,
thing you gotta remember with that is MUB, they're not set up the same utilities. So what goes on their thing goes directly into their budget where it wouldn't necessarily ours.
Well, if we had a fee that was
If we pass it on,
yeah, if we had a city feed, yeah.
right,
But see, Tulsa is different with their utility set up, so they.
but I'm saying they can't run Tulsa on just the amount of tax dollars that they have. They can't do it. And I think Claremore's got a problem too, and so they have
Stormwater fees.
stormwater fees or whatever.
Right.
But they have different things that bring in more money.
Well, that's
And
what they do, yeah.
We're one of the few that tries to say, okay, we're gonna stay straight with our tax dollars, and that's all we're gonna use, and we're gonna provide all the services that we need to with just our tax dollars. And when you talk about bringing in a new business, we brought in Whataburger. Whataburger did great guns for a month or so, And guess what? All the other ones dropped because you had X amount of dollars in this area to spend, and they were spending them at Whataburger, but they weren't spending them at McDonald's, and they weren't spending them at Carl Jr.'s. So they went down, Whataburger went up, now it's all leveled back out again. So you only have X amount of dollars in an area to work with.
Right.
So one of the other, and again, I want to caution we don't get too far off the subject here of discussing the budget, but, you know, we talked about another, when we said we brought that 8.5 in, the other thing we saw was the implementation of, sorry, Adam, the EDTA. And some of our funds went to things like the EDTA. Now, a lot of what they operate too is on dollars from, you know, the bond and stuff like that, so that's there, but, you know, there's all those little drains that took place, and so,
I mean, your sales tax gets allocated between 6, how many, 7?
Police and fire,
7 different.
are they, we don't have a sales tax for.
No, we do not.
Police and fire, correct?
That is correct.
If you, this is probably not an answer tonight, and I'm not saying that I'm pro-tax, but if we had to increase our sales tax number to fund those two departments, how much of a penny would that be? Any idea? Or how much of a percent?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily want to fund the entire department with a new sales tax, because, I mean, you collect how much in sales tax a year? About 8, 9 million maybe?
In gross or?
Gross.
Gross, I think we did 12.
12? Was it 12?
Here, I got it.
Anyway, so, I mean,
12 I was telling you about.
so if a penny would then be, if it was 12, that'd be 1/4, that'd be 3 million if it was 12. Okay, so, or if it's 10, it was 2.5. But, so you would have to have,
A substantial amount.
yeah, but any additional amount would certainly help. You know,
Wonder if, Mayor, we talked about this, but it's not our fault we're where we're at. And we can't just keep blaming in the past, we're gonna have to take care of it.
100%.
Do we want to go to the public and say, do you want a tax? Do you want to keep up the police and fire?
well, I
Do
think
we cut services? We need the public to tell us what they want to do.
I think that question's probably another, I think that's getting outside.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That's an option, but.
Well, I think the thing to remember is that there are plenty of efforts taking place to try to cut and to increase revenues. There's things that we have to explore, things we have to look at. You know, for the majority of this council, minus a few, and the clerk's office, myself, we're just a little over a year into this, and we knew that we would have our hands full. I'm with you 100%, Bruce. At some point, it would be nice to stop saying, well, this is what we were handed. And that's also the right thing to say. But there are trickle effects to things that took place before last year. And without pointing a finger, we just have to be proactive and not reactive, and just keep working on it. One of the things I was going to share that we've discussed is, as we look at where our tax dollars come from, where they're going, we had an opportunity this week to look at a little bit of software online deal, Placer AI, which talks about our retail leakage, where we're losing retail dollars in town, where our budget money is going. And we always laugh when we discussed this, was again Thursday, I think, last week, we did this, that we lose our number one retail leakage in Pryor is to the Quick Trip at Claremore. Number two, we laugh because nobody will guess what number two is. Our number two place that we lose our tax dollars is the McDonald's in Shoto.
I thought that was number 3.
Do what?
I thought that was 3.
Number 3 was Chick-fil-A, number 4 was like Woodland Hills Mall. But the idea is, this is information that we've found that through the EDTA, Main Street, other sources, we can acquire that data through their purchasing of that program that will allow us to monitor, you know, where the people are shopping, what they're doing, what we're losing money to. And at a point, that information
were you?
And just for the record, I know this is off subject, it's only cell phone, whether you have an Apple and an Android, it's a US-based company, it's run out of Amazon, it's not Chinese, I asked for you, Chris. It's not Chinese, they don't care who the phone belongs to, they don't even collect that. But the idea is, you know, those are things we're looking at, is it gonna be cost effective for us to get that data that tells us where our dollars are going? And I think collectively, meeting as a group of entities, we've decided that might actually be beneficial. Might actually be beneficial to see what our weaknesses are for a few years. And so,
But how is that gonna get you to cut $600,000 in the next couple of weeks to get the budget ready?
well, remember, there's three
That's the
options.
important thing.
Remember, Mr. Lamar, there are three options: cut, increase, or both. And I think this is one of the avenues where we look at how can we increase. And so, there's a lot going on a daily basis. A lot of discussions between Main Street, the EDTA, the Chamber, and it all goes back to how can we increase tax revenues in Pryor?
Mayor, my question is, if we know that, you said get and go in Claremore, come and go.
Quick trip.
Quick trip.
Quick trip,
Whatever you
big
want.
difference.
Whatever you gonna call it, how's that, if we know it's going there, how are we gonna stop it when we don't have one here?
Well, that gives us.
Other than telling you it's happening, I don't know.
Well, and this could be a discussion you and I can have later, and I don't mind doing that, but the idea is, that information lets us know where our deficiencies are. Where are we losing money? If we need to, maybe we need to put more emphasis into finding something to compensate for that on that part of town, and look, we have companies looking at town, and as we've talked, I say we, it's really, our EDTA president back there who's done a lot of it. The idea is that these companies that are looking at town now, two of them are filling stations. And again, back to that conversation, well, it is peaceably. Look, we'll take whatever the dollars are. And I hold to that, but the idea is when these companies find out that we're considering having that data for them, they're ecstatic. Because that tells them what their traffic counts are with these. And that's all part of finding ways to increase our revenues. It's not gonna be an overnight thing. It's not gonna be a one-year thing, but it is putting ourselves in a direction where people want to invest in Pryor.
You're gonna get in trouble.
Says who?
We tried that one time and we got in big time
You
trouble.
tried what?
Ricky Hayes.
Listen, no.
Oh,
I'm saying that's what everybody says, there's gonna be another Ricky
Joy,
Hayes.
listen.
Is he the one that's peddling the software and apps?
I was just gonna say though,
Anyway,
upcoming, we are going to have to approve a budget that's going to be limited to X amount of dollars, and we'll know that figure here shortly, right? Then, if things work out and there are increases in revenue, we can amend that budget during the year if we need to. So, if we set a budget that's low, because we're forced to, and we need to increase it based upon current revenues as we're investigating these possibilities, we can change that budget, just FYI.
so we really gotta look at what's real.
Right, no, absolutely. In fact, when you do the amended budget, you have to actually justify your ability, so if,
If all this comes true, we're fine, and we get big and everything, but
Would you be willing to, going forward, we talked about this last year about the projections and those things that you do.
I don't,
I just had Courtney send you all the last one he gave me, while we were sitting here, so it's probably in your emails.
actually, I sent that back in, I think June, maybe?
Yeah, I got it June 18th.
Okay,
Well,
I just don't wanna think I'm behind.
no, you're not behind, but would you be willing to continue that practice so that we can have those?
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, and that way, I mean, because hopefully that helps you know where you're at and where you're going to be.
I would appreciate that. I think it would be great if we could have that data on a regular basis.
As soon as
That would cease a lot of tension and such, and show that
Yeah, I will do that. I mean, I send it to her as soon as I get the numbers, usually within a few days. I come back, because basically I drop everything and make sure we know where we're at, so, because I'm always worried. But I make sure she has it, so hopefully she will send it out. So as soon as well, not not for June, because we'll know what it is for the budget, but after July, I will start projecting.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything further?
What? She's my office manager. She.
Right.
Chief of staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you bring your wife and, right?
She's the tough one.
We appreciate her. All right, so,
Jeff, I was one of the people that asked you to come and.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
and
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I thank you
Thank
very much. Yeah.
Too, we needed it.
And anytime, like the other day, Bruce called. I'm available for the phone too. You know, if you need something that you need to talk about, always available. That figure, whatever it is,
Yeah, we're gonna get to that here in a minute.
includes phone calls. So I talk to whoever. If anybody calls, I talk.
all right, that's it. I don't think we have any vote on that. That was discussion.
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Bruce, you happy for now?
I'm happy. If we had a break, I'd be really happy.
Hey, Bruce, we got item
Quit
H to do,
sloshing.
and then we're gonna probably take a break and get on into our executive, our city's attorney report. So if you guys are all okay with that, let's wrap up what we have.
Let's roll to H.
We'll go into item 5. Everybody can take a break.
Let's go to H.
Go what?
You're talking about.
I'll stay here.
I said let's go to H.
All right. Approve an expenditure in the amount of $26,800 to Coker and Coker for accounting services through June 25th, or 2025, sorry, to be paid from general outside services accounting, account 02-201-5073.
Motion.
Whoa.
I've got a
Move,
move from
Ever.
Joya and a
Move, Ever.
mo, whatever that noise was from, a second from Bashir. Okay. All right, discussion.
Any questions for me?
If none, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That sounded very unsure. Okay.
Seemed like a good
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kat, for hanging out with us. Let's go to item 5, city attorney report A. And then after that, we'll get a space where we can do what you gotta do. And I would also ask that we do this. Thank you. So A, second reading and possible action regarding an ordinance amending firework regulation 5-4C2 to include an application period for fireworks stand license to be issued for the sale of fireworks between December 27th and December 31st of each year.
Motion to approve and waive the reading.
Second.
Did you catch that?
Yep. Thank you.
Discussion? Done? Call for the vote.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Let's read item B, and then that should allow us all to take our break. I think it will as well. Item B, possible executive session pursuant to 2537B4 for confidential communication and to discuss with city attorney, and which may include such persons who may be pending, gosh, there's a lot of words on this one. Persons who may be called to provide information in question at the discretion of city council regarding a pending investigation, claim action to provide or pay separate private attorney for Tyler Brown, and the pending declaratory judgment action filed District Court of Mays County, State of Oklahoma styled Municipal Utility Board and City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, petitioners versus Tyler Brown et al., case number CV 2024-26, obtaining counsel for Tyler Brown and/or possible declaratory judgment action to determine responsibility of the city to provide an attorney and the cost of representation to be paid by the city pursuant to the advice of legal counsel that public disclosure would seriously impair the ability of the Board of Trustees to conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest. Agenda item added by Tyler Brown, Bruce Smith, and Charles Trammell. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
A motion from Brown,
Second.
second from Gantier.
Mayor, I have a question for the city attorney.
Yep.
Since there was items in our packet pertaining to this, can we take them into our executive session so we can use them as a reference to read and go by? And be able to keep them since they are publicly part of the packet?
As long as you don't take notes on them.
Correct. Thank you.
We need to have a vote on that.
You need to vote on going into executive session.
Ready?
Yep. All you-
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar. Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
And I'll take a break while we're
turn
it's
itself
Get
off.
her ahead of that.
Dad, focus on you.
I met your daughter.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, we love that too.
Forgive me.
All right, item C, consider resume, oh, are you ready? I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I'm ready to go.
Resume, regular session, no action taken during executive session, agenda item requested by Tyler versus Charles.
Second.
Have a motion from Charles Trammell and a second from Chris Gantier. Call for vote.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammers,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Okay. Item D, possible action based on executive session pursuant to 2537B4 confidential communications and to discuss with the city attorney and which may include the such persons who may be called to provide information in question at the discretion of the city council regarding a pending investigation, claim, or action, to provide and pay for a separate private attorney for Tyler Brown in the pending declaratory judgment action filed in the District Court of Mays County, State of Oklahoma styled Municipal Utility Board and City of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma. Petitioners versus Tyler Brown et al., case number CB 2024-26, obtaining counsel for Tyler Brown and or possible declaratory judgment action to determine the responsibility of the city. Good golly, man. I didn't write that. That's why you said it. Took me an hour to write. To determine the responsibility of the city to provide an attorney and the cost of representation to be paid by the city pursuant to the advice of legal counsel that public disclosure would seriously impair the ability of the Board of Trustees to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest. Agenda item requested by Tyler Brown versus Smith, Charles Trammell.
Motion to dismiss.
Motion to dismiss from Choya.
Second.
That motion to dismiss Tyler from the deck action?
That is correct.
who had the second?
There were like 6 of them.
Yeah.
Lori.
Lord.
You ready? Call for vote.
Okay, Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Chase, do we need to do E?
Nope. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
F, possible executive session pursuant to 2537B4 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act for purpose of confidential communication with the attorney regarding pending police grievance and arbitration entitled Mays County Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 116 in Dillon Hamel versus City of Pryor Creek.
sorry that you just read all of that, maybe we can pretend that you didn't have to read it again, but can we at least vote no action on E, so I have record of what's going on?
Is that what we need to do?
You can, yeah.
It
might as
says
well.
if
I'll make a
not-
motion, no action on
Yeah, it's
item
a
E.
contingent.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. We got a motion from Gantier, second from Brashear. Call for the vote.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
I'll read it again. It's the shortest one, so I'm okay with that. Our attorney wrote this one. Thank you, Chase.
And I get paid hourly.
Yeah. Possible executive session pursuant to 2537B4 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act for the purpose of confidential communication with attorney regarding pending police grievance and arbitration entitled Mays County Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 116 in Dillon Hamel versus the City of Pryor Creek.
So move.
Second.
I got a movement from Gantier and Shears got movement. Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier.
Yes.
Can we take this document in with us
Yes.
and
That's
bring
fine.
it out as long as we don't take notes?
No.
We're resuming regular session.
Oh, yes.
You wanna go back?
He
No.
wants to go back.
No.
He's really mad about that.
He didn't get enough
Yes.
cake bar.
He's mad about the Milky Way, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Them Milky Ways.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
All right, item H, possible action based on executive session pursuant to 25307B4 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act for the purpose of confidential communications with attorney regarding pending police grievance and arbitration entitled Mays County Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 116 and Dylan Hamel versus the City of Pryor Creek.
Make a motion to accept the settlement contract.
That's from Galtier. Go second.
Second. The long drawn out pause, and then
I'll
we
give
go.
that one to Brown.
No,
to
Brown.
approve, no.
To dismiss. Say that again. Chris.
motion to accept the settlement contract.
It's been a long day.
I'm tired, aren't we?
We're teaching them anyway. All right, when you're ready, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
No.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
No.
Lamar,
No.
5 yeses and 3 noes.
I'm sweating that one, guys. All right, committee reports, budget personnel.
13th of August.
Can I ask a question? Are we gonna have a special budget and personnel for you to present the budget to the committee before we present it to the?
As soon as I get it finished, I'll give you that answer.
Okay.
So hopefully by then we're to that point.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Ordinance insurance,
30th.
street and maintenance,
The 23rd.
unforeseeable. Do we have any, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second. We have a motion to adjourn from Brown and a second from Rashier. When you're ready, call for the vote.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
All right, we will call to order the Pryor Public Works Authority. I have a motion to approve minutes of the July 2nd, 2024 meeting.
So move.
Motion from Gantier,
Second.
second from Smith. Call for the vote.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Gantier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.